Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. And yes, we're doing this. We're doing it. I was going to leave it alone. When I did my live stream after President Nelson's birthday broadcast, news came out during the live stream in the chat that James Earl Jones had passed away. And he's probably most famous for being the voice of Darth Vader. And let me explain why I'm not laughing at his death. He seems to me like he was just a marvelous human being. I never saw anything bad about him. I felt like he had a light to him, honestly. So it's kind of ironic that he played Darth Vader. So this is nothing about him. Let's just get that straight right off the bat. It's the symbol of Darth Vader that we're going to be talking about. So, yeah, he passed away September 9th, the day of President Nelson's birthday, where he turned 100. And we've noticed some really interesting things when it comes to President Nelson and his birthday. So, this is going to be a review for many of you, but if you're new, you may not be aware of how this all played out. Okay, so President Nelson, September 9th of 2022, became the oldest living prophet or apostle of this last dispensation. So that was a landmark event. And it turns out that the day before he became the longest living prophet or apostle of this dispensation, Queen Elizabeth II, who I honestly thought was just going to live forever, she passed away the day before he became the oldest living prophet or apostle. And it just so happens that she was the longest reigning British monarch. And then worldwide, out of all royalty, she was in second place behind French King Louis XIV. Okay, so that was a big day. And it just happened to be the day before President Nelson became the oldest. And I felt like there was something to that. Many of you thought that there was something to that. There's like a symbol there. Okay, signs. People think that signs have to be like some kind of like magic or some strange supernatural occurrence or something that just can't be explained. No, the point of a sign is to communicate something to you. It's a way of communication, and the Lord can speak in many different languages. He can speak in a way that you understand. So it could be through world leaders. It could be through movies. It could be through sports. It could be whatever. If it gets through to somebody, then the Lord can use that method, even though it may not make sense to you. So we had this happen. And then as time went on, I started seeing this pattern of these like longest living leaders or longest serving or the last of their kind or whatever, that seemed to be all passing away around the time that President Nelson just kept going strong. So like the symbol is that the church is going to continue, but all these worldly nations, so these people that represent their respective nations and organizations, these nations in this old world order is going to end when Christ becomes king of the world at the second coming. So the old way is like on its way out. I think that that's the symbol of all this. So Queen Elizabeth, a day before his birthday, and then a couple weeks before that, Mikhail Gorbachev, the longest living leader of the Soviet Union, passed away. We're not going to have another one of those unless the Soviet Union comes back and then someone outlives Mikhail Gorbachev. And then a month before that, Shinzo Abe, who was Japan's longest serving prime minister, was assassinated. You know, whenever I see these three flags together, I typically think of World War II. I typically see this on like video game covers or board game covers, like when it's this combination of flags. That's what I think about. But anyway, and then after President Nelson's birthday, you had Jiang Zemin, if that's how you pronounce it, who was the longest living president of China and leader of the Chinese Communist Party. He passed away. After that, the last Hawaiian princess, Abigail Kawananakoa. She passed away. You have the king of soccer. You might be like, well, that's not a nation. Does it have to be? If it's something that is really important in somebody's life and they have this like idol whose nickname is the king of soccer, for some people, soccer is more important than the country that they live in. So Pele, the king of soccer, passed away. After that, out of the long history of the Catholic Church, the longest living pope of all time, Pope Benedict, passed away. And he passed away on New Year's Eve. I still feel like there's something to that. The last day of that year, 2022. Okay, and then starting up in January of 2023, the last king of Greece. Now, he was in exile for most of his life, but technically he was the last king. There's not going to be another king of Greece unless something radical happens. After that, you had Lisa Marie Presley, the Princess of Rock, the daughter of Elvis, the King of Rock. And then look at this. Just a couple weeks after the longest living pope passes away, you have the longest living nun of all time, Lucille Randon of France, who passed away at 118 years old in 340 days. After that, Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll. So you have the entire rock and roll family that's gone, the rock and roll royal family. Then after that, we had a few interesting deaths of people from the United States that represent the three branches of government. Dianne Feinstein, I think it's how it's pronounced, the longest serving woman in U.S. Senate history. I felt that was notable, so I put it on here. So you have the legislative branch. Henry Kissinger, according to New York Times, the most powerful Secretary of State in the post-World War II era. So I thought I would take note of that. Interestingly, he lived to 100. And then after that, Sandra Day O'Connor, first woman to serve as a Supreme Court justice. I feel like that was significant, so I put that down. And then you have the entire European Union, Jacques Delors, the architect of the modern European Union and longest serving European Commission president. So he passes away. These are all significant countries, empires, unions, churches. These are all significant. In order for this to happen again, you guys, we'd probably have to wait a long, long time to be able to have this kind of like clustering of significant people who represent these countries and churches and stuff dying in a cluster like this. After that, you have Queen Margaret II. She did not pass away, but she was the longest sitting monarch in Denmark's history, and she abdicated the throne. And then the most recent one that I have is from February of this year. Vittorio Emanuele of Savoy. He was the son of Italy's last king. Excuse me. He had actually declared himself king of Italy. I did a video about that because he's like the last person that could make any sort of claim of like royalty over Italy or even Rome. If you take it back to the Roman Empire with the emperors, and there was a period in Roman history where they had kings. That was before the Republic. So if you think of it in those terms, him representing not just Italy, but all of Rome, then that's kind of significant. So kind of like the last one that I'm waiting on is Jimmy Carter, because even though we have these three Americans right here that you could say represent the three branches of government, really the one that would really fit on this list would be the longest living president of the United States, who happens to be Jimmy Carter. And interestingly, he's about to turn 100. He was born the same year as President Nelson. 1 month later, his birthday is on October 1st. And they're preparing for a celebration for him. Jimmy Carter 100, a celebration in song at Fox Theater. And you're going to have all these artists there. I don't recognize most of these. Angelique Kidjo, BB Winans. If you guys know these people, let me know in the comments below. Group Love, I know them. I like a couple of their songs. Not a fan of the name, though. The B-52s, they're going to be there. I wonder if they're going to do Love Shack. Okay, so that's coming up pretty soon. They're actually going to be doing this on, where is it? Where I saw it somewhere. Oh, yeah, on September 17th. So at the time that I'm recording this, just like 4 days from now, I'm recording this on Friday night. Okay, so with that, I'm not going to put James Earl Jones on this list, but after I did that live stream, me and Jenica were talking about it in the car. We decided to go on a drive. We wanted to talk about, President Nelson's birthday and just enjoy the evening. And, we were talking about it. We actually both kind of felt like this did mean something. It's not going to get through to a lot of people, but since that time, I've gotten multiple, emails and comments from people saying that they felt the same way, that this may have been significant. And why? Well, it's because Darth Vader, I've talked about this before for just a little bit in the live stream, that, he's recognized worldwide, right? American culture and cinema has spread the world over. I don't think there's any country on earth that hasn't seen Star Wars, at least a good portion of their population. I think he's an internationally recognized symbol of evil. He's a really menacing character, and he's not known for goodness. And he's at the top under the emperor of a thing called the Empire. And as we think of the last days, we think about this, this final beast of Daniel's vision, the fourth beast. Or in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream, you have the iron legs, which was the Roman Empire, and then the descendants of the Roman Empire in the United States, Italy, the Western nations, right? So you have this character, you have the emperor that are over the empire, and the original trilogy is all about the empire coming to an end. And really, I think that the movies probably should have stopped there. This should never have been sold to Disney. It's become a complete wreck, in my opinion. But that's the story of the original Star Wars, is the downfall of the Empire, and actually Darth Vader turning good at the end. But I think most people remember him. I think most people associate him with this, with his cruelty and, being on the dark side, right? And so with the person, you usually, okay, Darth Vader, I think the first thing that usually comes to mind is the helmet and his costume. But then closely after that, the voice, the voice of James Earl Jones, which was a perfect voice for this character. Perfect, iconic, right? And so you have a little symbol here. Again, I'm not going to put it on this spreadsheet, but I'm just taking note of it, just probably in this video, mostly because a lot of you had told me that this is how you felt. And so obviously a message got through to you. It could be that President Nelson is going to be the one that is the president of the church when Christ comes. I hope that's the case. Only time will tell. But whatever the case, this happened. I just wanted to take note of it. I'd love to hear what you think. Put it in the comments below. But that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.